What's up, trolls, and anybody who watches or makes these videos who actually has half a brain, which would be surprising. I've talked about this before. I've replied to videos about this before. I've had lots of trolls and haters come on my videos before, and talking about wiggers and all that crap, as if they had something valid to say. But I hear the same thing about it, and I think there are a couple different perspectives and viewpoints someone can take. One is the straight up redneck racist, they don't want white people doing it because it's a race traitor, and they don't want white people in knowing anything about black culture at all, or even becoming a part of a community, hip hop community, which, even though only in the mainstream is it seen as only for black people and only based on the media coverage, is it only, is it an African American thing to rap? Who think that because of that, white people shouldn't do it. They're straight up racist and they hate black people too, or hate all minorities, and they're just a bunch of racists. I'm not trying to convince them because they lack intelligence already, lack enough intelligence to not make generalization, and are probably just mad because something is wrong in their life and they need to find Jesus. No, just kidding. I'm agnostic, guys. But yeah, something's wrong in their life, and so they basically take it out on other people. And that's most of these guys, by the way. Most of these trolls, these idiots who make these videos. And then there's two, just the ones that are sick of all the fake gangster kids, but they still are targeting the white ones. They're basically, what they're doing is they're saying, I'm sick of this. That's not you. Stop being so fake. No, you stop it. I know who you are. You don't. So stop. As if that's going to convince anybody. As if them blatantly hating on somebody is going to convince them that what they're doing is not being true to themselves. Look, I understand that there's something to be said about somebody just following blindly the mainstream culture in hip-hop, but okay, I'll admit, I used to be by your definition of wigger. Maybe some of you racist jerks that would think of somebody like Atmosphere, Sage Francis, all those producers in hip-hop you want to talk about, No, or the guy who does it for, cunning linguists, or you want to talk about the guy who produces for, blue scholars. There are lots of white kids that actually know what they're doing. If you consider them racist, if you consider them wiggers, you'd still consider me one. Some would still consider me one. I'm a juggalo. That pisses a lot of people off, but I think that's aside the point. And if you say juggalos aren't wiggers or whatever, but other people are, if you're a juggalo and you're going to hate on somebody for being a quote-unquote wigger, you're a racist. Take your hatchet off. That's all I want to say on the juggalo subject. And I'm not trying to get any juggalo haters on here. This is solely to you people who are just ignorant trolls talking about wiggers and stuff like that. But basically, there's some that are just tired of the whole mainstream culture. But the thing is, there's something to be said about people blindly following mainstream culture and the mainstream media. I'm not a fan of mainstream hip-hop. Yeah, it's ignorant, it's unpoetic, so is mainstream pop music, but race should not be a factor, is all I'm trying to say. Is if music is crap, music is crap. If you want to tell somebody, that music is crap, go tell them that music is crap. You don't need to bring up the fact that they're white as if it had some relevant point. Or how they grew up, as if that should define the type of music they listen to or what gets them through the day. I love hip-hop. It's just the way I am. If that makes me a bad person in your eyes, that I love to rap, that I love to listen to rap, is that such a terrible thing? Really? Or is it any of your damn business? I don't think so. But, yeah, there's something to be said about mainstream culture, but I don't think it should have to do anything with race. And you want to talk about how somebody grows up, as in, oh, you're behaving differently than how you grew up. I grew up Christian. Does that mean that I should stay a Christian necessarily? Some would say so, but not because of how I grew up. I think it's the same concept. If I grow up, I'm from the suburbs, and I'm not going to lie about it. I'm not going to pretend to be gangsta, not going to pretend to tote Glocks, etc. But, I'm from the suburbs, okay? that doesn't make me not love hip-hop. Does it? Does it even affect it? And if you see a black kid from the suburbs, would you say the same thing? Or would you say, I mean, would you just hate him for being black because you're a racist scumbag? But if not, would you say the same thing? It's like kind of a double standard. And if you're saying that music and race should have any sort of connection, which it shouldn't, besides if you want to talk about the history and respecting the racial history behind it, but as in music and race having any connection, or the way somebody dresses should be based on the color of their skin, you know, that's racist. You know, of course it cannot be compared to the legitimate racism that we've seen. But on a minor level, yeah, it's racism. I'm not going to try to be an idiot and try to compare it to like saying wigger is the same thing as the N-word, because the fact is it's not. There's not so much pain behind the word. There's not such a history to it. But the fact is it's still racism and it needs to go away. But, and let me explain, even the kids that are trying to, you know, have their chains on and be gangsta, that's who I used to be. I'll admit it. But I didn't try to be black. That was just who I was. You know, that was what I was listening to. Do I think it's absolute crap now, the music I used to listen to? Yeah. Do I think I was being fake, the music I listened to? Yeah. But it had nothing to do with my skin color. It was all about just me not being able to find myself. And the fact that race needs to be brought into it, the fact is if you're going to tell somebody they're fake, they're not going to listen if you're just going to say, oh, you're a wigger. As if, is that supposed to get through to them or something? Is that supposed to get through to anybody? No, it's not. All it is just your blatant trolling and your attempts to insult somebody because something is wrong with your own life. And frankly, if someone wants to listen to their music, let them do it. Who are you to tell somebody who they are? If a white kid grows up in the ghetto, hood, whatever, and that's who they are, who are you to tell them that's not who they are? And I want to let some of these black people who, well, that sounded kind of racist the way I say it, but not really. I want to let some of these black kids know. Some of them that are saying, oh yeah, well you're just racist, you're just a wigger, you're just like taking our culture, etc., all that. You know, hip-hop is unified. Since the beginning, hip-hop, even though it was a black uprising, it actually had white support from the beginning. And it actually had white people in the freestyle circles from the very beginning. So if you know anything about hip-hop, you know that hip-hop is not exclusively black. It was predominantly black, but it had, you know, other races involved. So it was never exclusively, you know, all black people. That was never the case with hip-hop. So if you honestly think that, then you need to go get your history right. And so basically, it's not taking any culture. Some kids just have a hard time finding who they are as a person and feel like they have to create an image because they're too afraid to be themselves. And I think I would blame these people also, the same trolls who would call somebody a weirdo, who would make fun of somebody just for being different. So, I mean, you're not doing any help by being a troll or by insulting these quote-unquote wiggers. Or by beating them up, you're just making yourself look like an ass. That's all I'm saying. You're making yourself look like an ass. And one other thing, if you want to talk to me about hip-hop or any music, I listen to everything, but I just love hip-hop. If you think you know more about hip-hop than me, I can name so many artists you don't even know. And that are good, regardless of your feelings on hip-hop, you know. I know more, I'm educated about it. It shouldn't be about race, it should be about how educated you are on it. It should be about your interest, your love, your passion for it. It doesn't matter what color skin is. Come on, guys, get that out of your head. This is the 21st century. What are we doing here worrying about skin color still? You know, even if it's not as blatant, when it is blatant, the fact is we need to get past skin color. Skin color should mean nothing. You know what? So, I don't know. Go ahead and flame me. Hate me. Peace.